Woo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Watchtower podcast. Glad you guys could join me. Glad you guys could be here. Oh man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. That's for sure. But yeah, glad you guys are here. Glad you guys could join me. Let's see here. Hopefully, there's going to be no technical issues this time. Past couple of weeks, there's been kind of some weird audio video syncing problems that have been happening and stuff like that. So I apologize for that. Hopefully there's going to be none of that tonight. But I'm not the only one that's been having some technical issues lately. I know Tom's been having some issues, and I think Pablo said he had some issues. Like maybe I could be wrong on that, but yeah, hopefully everything's going to run smoothly. But glad you guys could be here. Glad you guys could join me. We've got a loaded show today. There's actually some stuff that I had to cut out, and we're not going to be talking about because there's so much going on. But this is going to be one of those episodes where it's going to be a lot of information and connecting dots, and maybe talking about some going down the rabbit hole, and maybe talking about some people and some groups and organizations that maybe we don't know about. We hear a lot about the WEF, and we hear a lot about the people, the top guys, the top brass, but there's a lot of grunts, very powerful, influential grunts underneath, and maybe some groups that we don't know about, that we haven't heard about, and we're going to talk about some of those, because those guys are just as important as pushing this through. And as you can see, the title is episode 84, One World Citizen. Because we always talk about how the three pillars of the Antichrist beast system is the one world government, the one world religion, and the one world economy. And for all of that to happen, everybody has to be a one world citizen. So we're going to be kind of talking about how all that stuff is all connected and everything like that. So strap in for that. But before we do that, we've got some housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
No, thank you. Sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Right. We've actually got quite a bit of housekeeping, and like I said, this is a packed episode, so we kind of need to get through this, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about as far as this goes. So first things first, if you can, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Get this out. Of course, it's not about butts and seats. It's about reaching as many people as we can with the gospel and answering questions and sounding the warning sirens. And I have discovered I was shadow banned by YouTube before, and then they kind of let up on me. But apparently this last week, apparently they're starting to shadow ban me again. People aren't getting notified when they're supposed to be getting notified. I'm noticing some likes and views getting taken from my videos and whatnot. So YouTube is at it again at suppressing me, unfortunately. So if you can, like, share, subscribe, that will help get this out. Because I believe the inevitable ban on YouTube is going to be coming, make sure you follow me on Rumble, Odyssey, and Telegram. Rumble's going to be the backup streaming channel if anything happens. Odyssey is just the backup to the backup in case something really bad happens and I get kicked off Rumble. Telegram is for exclusive stuff and any updates on what is going on and whatnot. I like to throw some funny stuff up there and everything like that. God gave us a sense of humor, and I think right now we need to laugh, otherwise we'll be crying. So I think that's important. Now, a couple of announcements. I told you guys that I had a couple announcements. We've got a small announcement and then a big announcement. Let's do the small announcement first. Normally, I do a bobblehead video once a month. It's the first Wednesday of the month. Well, I have a special mid-month bobblehead that I'll be releasing tomorrow. It's a good one. I think it's a good one. So I'm going to be releasing a bobblehead video tomorrow. That will be at noon tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Like I said, I think we all need to be laughing as much as we can. So I've got a bobblehead coming out. Don't expect 2 a month from here, but just it's a special one that I just wanted to put out a little early because I like it. And then the big announcement. Next Tuesday, I will have my second guest on the show. And that will be none other than Pastor Tom Hughes will be joining me on the Watchtower next Tuesday. It's going to be great. We're going to be doing another water cooler episode like I did with Pete Garcia. So it's not going to be just like an interview like you would normally see. No, I'm going to bring him in and we're going to just have a conversation about some subjects that I think would be really cool. So I will have Pastor Tom on next Tuesday, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be a blessing to have him. So yeah, hopefully you guys can join me for that. It's going to be fun. And then one last thing before we get into it. Like I said, a lot of housekeeping going on. Last thing before we get into it is I know there was a couple people asking last week if I do questions. I managed to set up a system where my mods can get me questions. Now, something I always say and I always tell people is I am not a pastor. I'm not a Bible scholar. There is a lot of stuff that I don't know. So I hold the right to say I don't know and all that, even if I make myself look stupid. But I'm just letting you guys know. So if you have questions, they'll be coming in. But again, I don't know if I'll be able to answer all of them. Like I said, I don't proclaim to be a pastor or a Bible scholar. So if you have questions, we'll see how that goes. So, all right, that's it. That's all I got for housekeeping. That was a lot to get through. We're already 10 minutes into this thing. Yeah, if you have questions, one of my mods, not of this world, will tell you how to get those through to me if you want to do that. So, okay, let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to start with some news on Israel. It's always good to look at Israel due to the fact that the whole point of Jacob's trouble is for Israel. The whole point of the tribulation is to get Israel back to Jesus, the true Messiah. So we're going to focus on Israel. And so we got a couple things coming out. One is Israel is now preparing for their next step in gas exports. So we've talked about this before, where they got the Karish gas rig going up, and they're sending gas through Egypt and into Europe. Well, Israel is now looking at this opportunity. In case you don't know, Europe is still in a serious energy crisis, even though that doesn't seem to be getting talked about like it was before. They are not any better off than they were before. So Israel is seeing this opportunity as a chance to get in and start taking care of this. So Israel is collaborating with Egypt, Greece, and Cyprus to significantly boost exports to Europe. These projects include directly exporting to Europe and Asia. So right now they have to kind of have like a deal with Egypt where it's getting sent into Egypt and then Egypt is getting it to Europe. Well, now they're going to be working on a system where it can just Israel, there's going to be no middleman. Egypt, of course, will still benefit from this because it's going to have to go through their land. But Israel's working on a way where they can just get it straight to Europe. So right now they plan to get this up and running as soon as possible due to not wanting to miss the opportunity. And because of the several month delay on the Karish gas rig before, there's kind of an international view that Israel may not be as serious as they say they are. People are a little skeptical on if they're going to be able to follow through with what they want to do. This is important that we pay attention. This is important that we pay attention to this because I believe one of the hooks in the jaw to bring the Ezekiel 38 coalition, Russia, Turkey, Iran, Sudan, Libya. I believe one of the hooks, because hooks is plural, one of the hooks is going to be the fact that Israel is so rich in gas, but they're also replacing Russia's spot as one of the big gas exporters. So I think this is going to play a part into that. Now, the projects under discussion include pipelines connecting Cyprus, Israel, and Egypt, along with two liquefaction facilities. Man, that's a tongue twister. One in Cyprus and one off the Israeli coastline. This would replace the old idea of the proposed East Med pipeline to Europe, and Israel would deliver via tankers. So they originally had a plan going where Israel would they would build the East Med pipeline, which is a massive pipeline that would go down through Egypt, across Cyprus, and into Europe. But They don't want to do that anymore. They're thinking we can do this faster and cheaper if we just send it straight into Egypt and Cyprus, and then Israeli tankers would send send it into Europe from there. So it's going to be quicker and cheaper. The liquefaction facility would expand the Leviathan natural gas field, which is Israel's largest gas field, and would allow export to Europe and parts of Asia. So now they're starting to get into Asian territory for that. This method would be quicker and less expensive than direct pipeline. Here's where it's interesting. They want to have this project up and running in 3 years. In 3 years. Interesting. It's just an interesting number because we know what happens at 3.5 years in the tribulation. I think, of course, obviously, Ezekiel 38 would probably happen sooner than that, but still, it's very interesting that they would do it in 3 years. So that's kind of a interesting proponent there. So that's what's going on as far as this is the Israeli gas stuff. Like I said, this is probably going to anger Russia even more than they already are at Israel. In case you haven't noticed, Russia's not happy with Israel on a lot of the decisions that they're making as far as what they've been doing in Syria and what they've been doing with Ukraine and all that stuff. So this is probably going to start adding more onto that. And yeah, we'll see what happens from there. So another thing coming out of Israel is the Israel Antiques Authority, the Israel National Parks Authority, and the City of David Foundation will begin the excavation of the Pool of Siloam in December. So the excavation of the Pool of Siloam in December. Wow. talk about wow. So this would be in the southern portion of the city of David, and of course it was a significant part of Jerusalem's water system, and it's also the reservoir for the Gihon spring. In 2004, a few steps of the pool were found, but due to the land being private, they were unable to excavate. So they found the pool in 2004, but they have not been able to do anything about it because who owned the land, they wouldn't allow them to do it. I think some company or group from Greece owned that territory, I think. I don't have it written down in my notes, but I believe that's what it is. But they found this pool in 2004. This is significant for several reasons. Well, one, we know from Scripture in John, this is the same pool that Jesus told the blind man to wash, and he healed him. So this is when Jesus took the mud, rubbed it on the man's eyes, and he said, go to the pool of Siloam, wash your eyes out, and you will be able to see. And Jesus healed him, and he used the pool of Siloam for that. So this is pretty significant. Now, as far as how this could play into prophecy and what's coming forward is we talked about this in October of last year. It's important to note that the pool of Siloam is part of the water libation tradition, a part of the temple ceremonies that they do. This is part of the temple ceremonies that they do. The water libation is where they get together. They have a special jug that they use. They get their instruments, and they go through a certain specific path down through to get water from the pool of Siloam, and then they take it back up to the temple. It's part of their tradition. They just did a reenactment of that in October, and so now they're talking about excavating the pool of Siloam, which will be done, or they're going to begin in December. You're talking about something that plays into being used for the third temple. So this is a pretty significant thing to pay attention to as far as that goes. So, yeah, we're talking about something that could play into, we talked about the red heifers. We talked about the train that's getting done for it. We talked about how, the temple could be, they've already got position where it'll be next to the Dome of the Rock, and it has the perfect measurements. Do I still have that verse? Is it this one? Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, Revelation 11, 1 through 3. Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there. But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles. So we already talked about that too, where the temple's going to go next to the Dome of the Rock, but they're going to have to leave out the outer court because it belongs to the Gentiles. It's exactly how Revelation 11 tells us it's going to happen. There is a lot of things pointing towards this third temple, and the excavation of the Pool of Siloam and how it plays in for the water libation is also another very significant thing. So this is as far as that goes, in my opinion. So that's what I got for Israel. There's the gas stuff and the Pool of Siloam and all that jazz. So, guys, always focus on Israel. Continue to look at Israel. Well, focus on Jesus, but watch Israel, because we know we're going to be getting the signs from Israel, and it's about them. So, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Let's take a look at some natural events and what's going on with that. We've got some quakes going on. That's right. The earth is still rocking. It wasn't like last week. There was a ton of quakes last week. But we got some this past week. Start with a 5.5 quake in Kira, Solomon Islands. Then there's a 5.9 quake in Sarangani, Philippines. 5.6 quake in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. 6.1 quake in the Kermadec Islands. That's in New Zealand. 5.5 quake, Savannah Bight. Bight or Bright? Bight. I think it's Bight. Savannah Bight, Honduras. And a 5.6 quake that just happened about 12 hours ago. That was Lelesti, Romania, of all places. Romania, very interesting. The latest numbers coming from the Turkey-Syria quake. They've got numbers saying it's over 40,000 have died, over 35,000 in Turkey, and 5,800 in Syria, and they're still just getting started on their search and rescues for that. So, yeah, this is going to be devastating. They said it's the largest, the biggest. I can't think of the word, but not crisis, but biggest event. That's not the word I'm looking for, in the past like decade, as far as that goes. So this is pretty significant on that. As far as volcanoes, as of Sunday, because that's when I get my report, still 49 volcanoes actively erupting, 7 North America, 7 South America, 2 in Europe, 2 in Antarctica, 3 in Africa, 21 in Asia, and 7 in Oceania. Not a thing has changed since last week. It's still the same volcanoes going off in the same areas, same number. Nothing's changed there, so nothing significant as far as that goes. So, you guys doing all right? Doing okay? I just realized that I did not get you guys involved with this show, which I always try to do. I think it's just because I've been trying to get through as much as I can. Let's see. I'm gonna get you guys involved now. What do we got going on here? Wow, you guys have been talking like crazy. Let's see. Let's just go here. Lori is here. What's going on, Lori? We've got the Hermie Elf is here. The elf is here. Looks like I've got my mods. Kim, not of this world. Glad to see you. El Trem is here. Kathy Evans. Good to see you, Kathy. We got Dream Vector. KW. Hey, KW. Good to see you. We had a good discussion on Pablo's stream earlier. Glad to see you here. Kale Wright is here. Good to see you. Who else we got? Red Go Hawks. What's going on? Miss T is here. Good to see you. Kat is here. Lisa is here. Deborah. Good to see you, Deb. Sarah is here. Good to see you, Sarah. Hopefully you're having a good Tuesday. Vicky is here. Viking Loves Jesus is here. Oh my goodness. I can't get all of you guys anymore. Rev22 is here. I can't get all you guys anymore. I'm sorry. Oh man, there's just so many of you. Davis is here. Good to see you. Misha and Tater. That's a cool name. Misha and Tater. Good to see you. Rugged Christian is here. I'm sorry if I missed some of you guys. I don't mean to. I just can't get to you all anymore. There's so many of you, which is so cool. So cool. The Wretched family continues to grow. So it's good to see you guys. Okay. I didn't want to leave you guys out, even though it's kind of a random place to do that. I didn't want to leave you guys out. So good to see you guys. All right. Kind of natural event, kind of not. We're going to talk about Ohio Chernobyl. That's what, or Chernobyl, Ohio. That's what they're calling it. Um, this is a big thing that's going on. I can't stress how big this is. This is a pretty significant event because it's going to possibly affect a lot of people. And of course, this happened about 11 days ago, I believe. It happened 11 days ago. There was a train derailment in Ohio, East Palestine, Ohio, and it was carrying extremely toxic chemicals, and it flipped over and it started leaking out. The authorities evacuated the area, and rather than just cleaning it up like any other derailment that they would, they chose to burn the toxic chemicals. So this is a situation of the train didn't fall over and then it exploded and became raging on its own. No, this was a thing where the authorities actively chose to do this. Now, keep in mind when this happened, and I'm just going to throw it out there. When this happened, everybody was watching the balloon. They were watching the balloon. And I kind of put a little thing in my Telegram when everybody was focused on the balloon. I said, while everybody's watching the balloon, who's watching what's going on underneath the balloon? And this is exactly what I've been talking about. The balloon stuff is a distraction, and they've increased all these flying things all over the US and Canada, and they're saying South America now, and apparently China's claiming and stuff. Everybody's talking about that stuff. And we've got a lot of things that is going on, a lot of things that are going on that aren't being discussed. They're not being talked about. The mainstream media has not even talked about this. Some of the local people have, and CNN put out like one or two things, but nobody's really talking about this. Of course, the White House has said nothing about it. They continue to just talk about, hey, aliens, which we know aliens don't exist. The Bible does not support aliens. They support demons, or it supports demons. But this is the distraction stuff, where they want you to focus on things like a balloon, which, in case you didn't know, that Chinese balloon that they shot down was actually Western parts written in English. And back in 2019, the Pentagon announced that they were going to be doing balloon surveillance on domestic population. So something to keep in mind there. But absolutely nothing being talked about on this thing, and it could affect a lot of people. Now, one of the chemicals, if you want to know what the payload is on this thing, one of the chemicals is polyvinyl chloride, which is used to make plastics. Now, polyvinyl chloride, if it comes in contact with humans, it can cause rare liver cancer, hepatic angiosarcoma, a primary liver cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma. Good luck with trying. Yeah, sorry. And then it can also cause brain and lung cancers, lymphoma, and leukemia. That's what this thing can cause. That was the main payload on there, but there were other chemicals on the train as well that include ethylene glycol monobutyl, ethylhexyl acrylic, isobutylene, and butyl acrylic. And all this stuff can cause serious damage to the human body. Like I said, they're calling this event Chernobyl, Ohio. And again, mainstream media, White House, nobody is covering it. Nobody's talking about it or anything like that. So much so that when the event first took place, several reporters and journalists were beaten and or arrested by police for trying to obtain information, whether filming, taking pictures, asking questions. They were beaten back when this happened. Now, this is where it gets really significant. All animal life in the area, fish and wildlife, birds, all of them in that area, dead. Not dying, not became sick, all of them dead. So it's killing the animal life. And we're even getting reports. There's videos of people who have farmland 10, I think even 20 miles away. Their chickens, they're dead. They started walking slow and then they died. I'm seeing some of the cows have been getting sick as well. They're not dead. These are further away, but they're feeling the effects. They're probably going to die. I've seen several people who have been interviewed who have returned back because only after 10 days of burning this stuff, they allowed people to go back, where people are saying they're getting massive headaches, they're feeling lethargic, and they're leaving again. They're choosing to leave the area because they believe this stuff is damaging them. Now, as far as fish and wildlife, that's next to water. They're being reported dead up to 100 miles away. 100 miles away, wildlife that is around the river system are being reported dead. The water is also connected to the Metro Pittsburgh waterways, to the Louisiana River, and they're saying that it can start, as far as farmland and everything like that, crops and everything are going to start getting poisoned by this stuff. Contamination of the Ohio River as far as West Virginia is possible. You're talking about 5 million people being affected for drinking water, but you have to remember production plants also draw water from river systems, and you're talking about over 30 million people that could be affected by the production plants with what they're doing with food or anything else that they provide. 30 million. Yeah, and as of now, we've got water utility companies across state lines are beginning to take precautions due to health concerns. They're trying to figure out how they can start protecting their own states and water systems because of what's going on. As far as wind factor, because that's the water, as far as wind factor, you can look up pictures of today. So 11 days after the burning, it's still black skies over Ohio. But as far as wind factor, you're also talking about toxic air getting pushed over all of Lake Erie and as far as up into Ontario, Canada. So you're even talking about this getting into Canada at this point. The overall cloud radius of the toxins is over 200 miles large and hitting so far over 190 counties. As far as 190 counties. What's also interesting is that in 2022, now this is maybe we talk about predictive programming. We talk about desensitization. I cannot say that word. Desensitizing people. But in 2022, a movie called White Noise came out, and it's based on a 1985 novel of the same name. This movie features a train crash that had chemicals involved, and people had to evacuate the area because of the toxic air that was in the air. What's very interesting is that train crash for the movie took place in Ohio, the same state that this had. So if you want to read into that, wouldn't be the first event that a movie has portrayed that has come true. Just saying, it happens all the time. But we're talking about toxic air. We're talking about poisoned water. We're talking about people talking about food shortages. Well, if you want food shortages, let's poison and contaminate the water that's most of the farmland, because this is all in that area where it's pretty much all farmland that surrounds these rivers and whatnot. And so this could cause food shortages. This could cause food shortages. So definitely something to pay attention as far as that goes. So that's what I've got on that so far. There's a whole bunch of information that's coming out. Be thankful for independent journalists, because they're the only ones that are covering this, and that includes the ones that were already beaten and thrown in jail because of trying to get some answers on this. So yeah, this is an event that could, I'm not saying it will, But this is an event that it literally could cause the final downfall for this country. It could destroy that much food. It could destroy that much wildlife. It could kill a lot of people, shut off a lot of waterways. It could take down this country. So this is definitely something, as far as that goes. I looked up just in time to see it. Didn't it? The Houston derail? Yes. There was two more last night. One was in South Carolina, which was just rock and gravel and whatnot. But then there was one in Houston as well that was chemicals. But they chose to do the smart thing, and they're doing a normal toxin cleanup. They're not actively burning it. So that's what's going on with that. Chernobyl, Ohio. As stuff comes in, I'll definitely continue to update you guys in Telegram as much as I can. I'm just one man, but I will do the best I can on keeping you guys updated on that. So that's what we got with that. All right. Let's keep this train a rolling. That was actually, I did not plan for that. That was I did not mean to say that. But let's keep going forward. Wow, that was terrible. Situational awareness, Zach. Come on now. Okay, let's just keep on going, and let's talk about the UDPN. The UDPN. I know this has been talked about a couple weeks back by a few guys, but I'm gonna throw my hat into the ring on this. Oh my gosh, why did I do that? Okay. Anyways, so I've been kind of just dissecting the Davos meeting that happened, quite a while back. But I'm dissecting it piece by piece, and I'm kind of reporting on it throughout the weeks. But I came across the UDPN system. So taking another trip through the latest Davos announcement, a company called Red Date Technology unveiled UDPN. Okay, so this is going to be, like I said, this is going to be an episode where there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of going down the rabbit hole, connecting dots, seeing who's involved with who, what company's involved with what, taking a look at this stuff. So if you're into this stuff, this is going to be a good episode for that. So again, Red Date Technology unveiled UDPN. UDPN stands for Universal Digital Payment Network. So the UDPN is another distributed ledger technology platform that would fill the position of SWIFT, but for central bank digital currencies. So SWIFT is the monetary system that allows the transfer of money between banks and countries, and it's about transitioning money between the two and getting it all stuff. But what this is going to be, the UDPN is going to be that system, but for central bank digital currencies. So it's about getting central bank digital currencies back and forth. Ledger system, atomic ledger, that's one of those things I always tell you to pay attention to. And that's what this system is. I'm not going to go in depth on that. I've talked about that enough. If you want to know more, I've got other videos on all that stuff. UDPN has been developed by GFT, which is another company, Toco, and DLA Piper, which are arms of Hedera. Now, Hedera is one of those companies that I really told you guys, pay attention to these guys, because this is one of those names that people really don't know about. They don't really know the name Hedera, but Hedera is got their hands on pretty much every blockchain ledger CBDC technology that's going to be used by all these countries. This is the company that is controlling, even though people don't realize it, they're kind of the controlling group of the coming central bank digital currency that's coming in. They're the ones developing all of that technology. Not just one, not just two, but multiple programs that will eventually be used for this stuff. So Hedera, don't forget them. And so Toco and DLA Piper are arms of Hedera. So they're involved with the UDPN as well. Like I said, also involved is Red Date Technology, who is based out of Hong Kong. So for those of you who still think that the US and China aren't working together, well, I hate to break it to you, but China's in on this one world stuff that's coming as well. That's just how that's how it is. Just like I've told you that Russia's in on this as well. We know Putin is a young global leader, and he's connected to the WEF, and all of the stuff going on with Ukraine is all a plan to get things rolling and get going. Same thing with China. They're involved with this stuff as well. They're all buddy-buddy. They're all friends. They're all doing this together. Take a look at World War II. Look at the relationships between all of the bad guys and the good guys. It's the same thing. It was all planned. I don't know if I just popped somebody's bubble, but that's how it is. So officially launched at Davos. So they officially launched this thing at the Davos meeting. The network involves Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Standard Chartered, Bank of East Asia, and AK Bank. So there's a lot of different countries involved with that. So much of the funding came from firms. Like I said, we're going to be doing a lot of connection stuff. So try and follow along if you can. Much of the funding came from firms like Prosperity 7 Ventures, which is out of Saudi Arabia, so there's Saudi Arabia connection. Kinetic, which is Hong Kong, so there's more of a Chinese connection. And then this is an interesting one. Bank Pictet. I know that is not the right way to answer it, but or say it, but if you want to search for it, Pictet, Pictet, Picteet. So Bank Pictet, which is out of Switzerland. And then there's also the Bangkok Bank and private investors who have stake in Pictet Bank. This is an interesting bank right here. Bank Pictet, that's going to be an interesting thing to say a lot, is especially interesting because it's described as the world's most secretive bank for the richest people on the planet. So this is probably one of the most important banks that you've never heard of. I know we like to talk a lot about the Bank of International Settlements, and there's another one, I can't remember the name of it, the International Monetary Fund. But those are, again, more of the big names that everybody knows and everybody's watching. Of course, it's very important that we do watch them, but those are the ones everybody knows. Like I said, there is the level of people that aren't being watched that are just as important and influential as these people, and Bank Pictet is one of them. The only comparison giving regarding its secrecy and its wealth amount is the Vatican. They say Bank Pictet is just as secret, just as wealthy, and just as powerful as the Vatican Bank. So that's a very interesting thing to pay attention to. The bank reportedly handles around 850 billion with a B, billion, with a profitability far greater, which of course we don't know that number. Recently, the bank began shifting more in favor of globalized finance rather than private banking. So we know that they're going to need a whole lot of money to do this one world system, the Antichrist one world system. And so when you've got a bank like this that handles, and this is just the number that they're telling us, guaranteed, I can guarantee there's more than 850 billion involved with this bank. But that's the number that they're giving us. So this is a huge factor when it comes to getting this system set up. And you know, the people who have their money in that bank are people that we don't know about. You want to talk about all the people who are on the richest people in the world list and stuff like that? No, there's going to be more people as far as that goes. And so that Antichrist bank or Antichrist beast system is going to need a massive bankroll. If we want to go back to the Prince Charles speech from COP26, he's talking about trillions and trillions of dollars at his disposal. Pretty sure we know who his is. Guaranteed this bank is involved with that. Guaranteed. So these are some of the groups that are making decisions, bankrolling, and pushing this stuff forward. These are probably names that you've never heard of before. And we're also seeing a connection from Switzerland to Saudi Arabia to China to the United States, all involved with this as well. So yeah, that's what's going on as far as that goes. So the UDPN is going to be utilizing technology that the WEF Hedera and others like that. It's going to be using their same technology, and it's being bankrolled and controlled by these companies. Everything is all connected. It's all connected. So, and with that, we're going to be rolling into what is going on with the digital pound that they have announced that is coming. I apologize if you hear kids outside yelling. My neighbors are going to be loud, so I apologize for that. Nothing I can do. Sorry. But let's keep this rolling. Not going to say what vehicle is going to be rolling, but let's just keep it rolling into what is going on in the UK with central bank digital currency and the digital pound. So the UK is getting their central bank CBDC, just to shorten it, up and running, and it seems it's close because even the mainstream media has been promoting the digital pound like no tomorrow. So this past week, they've started to kind of push through on Reuters had it, the Daily Mail had it, Yahoo had it. There's a bunch of other mainstream media outlets that all had it about the digital pound is about ready to come out. It's about ready to be good. So when you do a search on it, though, if you do a little search on things like Google or Bing or even DuckDuckGo, yeah, in case you guys didn't realize, DuckDuckGo is now compromised. They're connected to Google, so find a different search engine. I recommend Brave. But if you do a search on those main search engines, there is a specific group, a website that keeps popping up called the Digital Pound Foundation. Now, for a website to get featured on the first page of these main sites, you have to have money. You have to be, you have to have some type of connection with these groups in order to pop up on there. And so the Digital Pound Foundation popped up on the first page of all three of those search engines when I searched for it, or I just typed in digital pound and their website popped up. The DPF, for short, Digital Pound Foundation, DPF, was incorporated in June of 2021, so it's actually quite recent, and they're already popping up on the front page. The DPF claims to be an independent forum supporting the implementation of the digital pound. Again, this is one of those small little groups that you may never have heard of, but the people that are involved in this thing are very, very important because they are controlling a lot of things. We'll talk about that. But they also said, the DPF also said, that they're contributing to its successful rollout and helping drive forward the UK's transition to a digital economy. So they said they're an independent forum supporting it, but then they go on to say that they're even further involved by their contributing to it and getting it pushed out. There is a guy by the name of Jeremy Wilson. He did a video on the website explaining what the Digital Pound Foundation is. Now, this dude has the personality of, I would say a personality of a brick, but that's probably going to be insulting to the brick. You might rather watch paint dry, but in this video, it's about 3 minutes. He says some very, very interesting things that we really need to pay attention to. So this is Jeremy Wilson, the chairman of the DPF. Check this out. Pay attention to what he's saying. It's very interesting.
The Digital Pound Foundation is a collaborative enterprise. It's focused on the introduction of a digital pound. Its members span the public and the private sectors, and its purpose is to act as a convening point for those who are engaged in the safe, secure, and effective development and introduction of this new form of money. Now, why is it important? It's important because any new form of money cannot be taken lightly. It is a rare occurrence at best of times. Even the credit card didn't have the enhanced capabilities that this has. So the world has become a global laboratory now, trying to understand the ramifications of this fast-growing phenomenon. Governments and private enterprises are developing something which will serve humankind better than any past or current forms of money. And this new form of money is only possible because technology is transforming all the interactions between human beings, which themselves need money, And money must therefore adapt to serve those interactions. Now, the ramifications of this will affect every one of us. It is unlikely that we will see a global version of this form of money until we have a form of global government. So nation states, regional governments, and private enterprises are also working on their own versions. And that's why we formed the Digital Pound Foundation, to help it happen in the UK. Now, the foundation has an important role to play, and good governance of that foundation is therefore of paramount importance. So the company has been formed, the Articles of Association have been agreed, and the founding members include those with deep practical experience in established forms of money and their mechanisms, those with technological competence to understand and facilitate the transition to this new form of money, government and public sector observers, and grounded visionaries who are able to translate what is possible into practical reality. Now, wider membership of the foundation is welcome. So in conclusion, we do not believe at the Digital Pound Foundation that we should underestimate what is afoot here. It will take time. It will need interventions at all levels of society, and it will need new government policy. It will need guidance on its practical implementation, and it won't go away. Now, that's why we formed the Digital Pound Foundation.
Oh, is he done? Sorry, I fell asleep. Okay. Again, I know it was a long video and maybe boring to listen to, but he said some very, very interesting things with this. The first thing I want to point out is he specifically said that these digital currencies, the CBDCs, will need a global government. So he's specifically said that the central bank digital currency, which will be the one world currency, will need a global government for it to work. So he already called for 2 pillars of the Antichrist beast system. We already knew this stuff, but he's confirming it. So it's very important that we pay attention to that. We confirm this stuff. Other things, he's talked about how this system is being developed and controlled by governments, corporations and businessmen, and technocrats. The technology, the corporations, and the governments. This stuff is all going to be controlled by them. Again, things that we knew, but he's confirming it. He's talking about a full-on confirmed group of technology, government, and corporation. So this is stuff that, again, is confirming, but he just called for 2 of the 3 beast system. Just wait until One World Religion gets involved, because you know it's going to be getting involved here soon as far as that goes. But, okay, who is this guy? So far, we just got some old dude on there talking about stuff, tapioca pudding, I guess. But we got some guy on there who's talking about that stuff. Well, that is Chairman Jeremy Wilson, who is a former VP of Barclays Bank, who is a WEF member. Barclays Bank is a part of the WEF, and he is the former vice president of it. So he's got background in not only the WEF, but also banking and global banking on top of that. So he's involved. That's that guy. Then there's another person involved. Her name is Susan Friedman, and she's a part of Ripple. Ripple just became a full WEF partner in 2022, but has been a member as far back as 2015. So there's different levels to it. There's contributing people, then there's the members, and then there's the partners. Well, Ripple just became a partner. If you don't know Ripple, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all that technology, all that trading, all the platform, they're involved with that. And so Susan Friedman, who is a member of the Digital Pound Foundation and also a part of Ripple, is involved. So you got more connection to the WEF as far as that goes. Then, because there's more, there's always more. I feel like Billy Mays here, but wait, there's more. OxyClean. Not sponsored by OxyClean, just saying. But another guy is Gilbert Verdian, I think that's how you pronounce it, who is the founder and CEO of Quant. Quant is backed by, if you said the WEF, you're wrong. It's actually backed by the Rockefeller Capital, which is the Rockefeller Bank. Yeah, the Rockefeller is one of those names everybody knows. Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the people who control the world pretty much. Well, you got somebody who is involved with that. So there we go. There's also more. There's also member connections to Clifford Chance Law Firm and the service company Accenture. Oh, that's a name that I've said quite a bit. We'll get back to Accenture in a minute, but know that Accenture is also involved with the Digital Pound Foundation. But yeah, keep that name in mind. We'll be coming back to them. Another member of the DAPF is Avalanche, who is helping with the WEF's new Crypto Sustainability Coalition to investigate the potential of Web3 technologies in fighting climate change. Why do they continue to have programs that are about a paragraph long? Why can't they just come up with a simple name for this stuff? I will read it again. Everybody take a deep breath. We're going to need some air. Avalanche is also helping with the WEF's program, which is New Crypto Sustainability Coalition to investigate potential of Web3 technologies in fighting climate change. All right. So basically, you've got Avalanche that is a web or a WEF connection, who is doing crypto stuff along with Web3 technology. That's something to pay attention to. I'm not even going to pretend like I'm smart enough to explain what that is yet, but I am looking into it. And climate change, of course. It's always got to be climate change. Avalanche, this is also something I found very interesting. Avalanche also calls Web3 technology the multiverse. The multiverse. Very interesting. The multiverse, Web3, metaverse. They always talked about going to different dimensions. And then what's that movie? There's always movies that talk about a multiverse. Oh, that's right. Marvel. Marvel does a lot of multiverse stuff. And we just talked about how they like to do predictive programming and to desensitize people through entertainment. Interesting. It's a very interesting thing to call that. So it looks like the Digital Pound is rocketing towards a release. And you've got this group here, the DPF, who is probably a group most people never heard of. Points for you, cookies for you. There's cookies in the back if you knew who the Digital Pound Foundation is. I don't have cookies for you. I apologize. But this is a group nobody really knows of, nobody's really heard of, but they are firmly involved with pushing this stuff forward, like the Digital Pound. Also, His Majesty's Treasury, which is their finance thing in the UK, is currently preparing a place to place a head of central bank digital currency and stated that the Digital Pound is not too distant from us. So they're getting their leadership stuff connected and hooked up. And it looks like KW, I have heard of that. Well, there's cookies in the back for you, KW. Cool. Yeah, but it's, again, I think it's a group that a lot of people maybe never heard of, and they are involved with getting this going and all that. So interesting. Now let's keep moving. So something to pay attention to as we continue to move through these different programs and these different groups and everything like that. All of this has to do with creating a one world citizen. So when you combine the three pillars of the Antichrist beast system, one world government, one world religion, one world economy, when you combine all those together, like I said at the beginning, you're creating a one world citizen. So we're seeing all these different groups, all these different programs come together, and it's creating this one world citizen. And so if we take a trip over to the side of surveillance and tracking and keeping track of you and biometric and all that stuff, if we take a trip and go back to 2019, right before 2020, something I always talk about, the 2020 event, The 2020 event was an event to test a lot of things. They were testing a lot of things. They were testing the lockdowns and the 15-minute city stuff. They were testing that. They were testing the UBI system because all the stimulus checks that were going out, they were testing that. They were testing the movement habits and keeping track of people. They were testing things that we can't say on YouTube, and they were testing a whole bunch of stuff. Well, something else that they were testing is whole body biometric recognition. So one of the questions that everybody was saying was, how are they going to be able to do facial recognition if everybody's walking around with face diapers on? Things are going to start to make sense. They've been testing since 2019, so right before 2020, when they forced everybody to put a face diaper on, full body biometric recognition. So they were trying to test programs. They were trying to test programs where they could use recognition software and determine who you are based on just your body. And for that to work, they needed to cover the face. So by covering the face, they were able to test this new recognition technology. I hope that makes sense. I tried to explain it in a couple different ways. I'm terrible at explaining things sometimes, but I tried to make sure everybody gets it. So they were testing this new stuff by forcing you to wear face diapers. The project in 2019. The project began from U.S. national labs, and the project was built to accurately identify subjects outdoors from a distance and without a whole face scan. So they were testing their upgrades to be able to recognize who people are and scan them at a distance, outdoors, and with their face covered. DuPage, or Tupage, if you want to get fancy with it, community college, which is west of Chicago, continues these tests using college volunteers in pretend situations. So they put them in pretend situations, getting something out of a car at a distance where they're making like a transaction at an ATM. So cameras from the back, and they're testing this stuff to continue to see how this goes. The project is known as BRIAR, 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 which stands for Biometric Recognition and Identification at Altitude and Range. Again, they always have to have these long names. So biometric recognition, this is about your body at altitude, so at really high levels, and at range, so at a distance. BRIAR is managed by IARPA, or Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity. Tests include cameras posted at high up and drones dealing with air turbulence. So we're talking about cameras that would be as high up as, say, a smart streetlight, because all the smart streetlights now have recognition cameras in them. So that would be playing into that. And then we're also talking about drones. So as they're flying around, they're going to be scanning that as well. The project is funded by Kitware Intelligent Automation and Accenture. I told you we would be back to Accenture. Accenture is involved with this. So you got Accenture, who's involved with the WEF, who's involved with the Digital Pound Foundation, and now involved with this as well. Keep in mind, I say this every once in a while, keep in mind the head of Accenture, Julie Sweet, is on the main leadership board of the WEF. The state of Alabama, along with BRIAR, issued federal grants to small businesses to help advance the development of these tech systems. So this is the next level of being able to do a full body scan without needing the face and being able to recognize who you are. This is about getting the smart city situation involved or up to snuff. This is about getting the social credit system up to snuff. They need to advance this, which I believe they already got something better anyways, because they're so far ahead with technology that we don't see, but they're still moving this forward. They're still pushing this forward in that next step, that next evolution of this. Now, the next evolution of this, of course, involves the digital ID. And the digital ID is going to need to be involved for the central bank digital currency. You can't roll out the retail version of the CBDC without having a digital ID. And another group that you may not have heard of, who is helping advance this forward, is called the Better Identity Coalition. The Better Identity Coalition. These guys are pretty, they're pretty involved with this stuff. In 2022, the Better Identity Coalition released a set of policy recommendations for all 50 states in the United States. The focus of these reports, these policy recommendations, were ways government can improve the privacy and security of digital identity solutions. Better Identity in America, and the report is called "A Better Identity in America: A Blueprint for State Policy Makers." So this is about guiding the states, the governments, the state governments, on how to get their populace to follow along with getting involved with a digital ID system. This report is an outline of the BIC, the Better Identity Coalition, or BICS, the BICS vision for governments to respond to groups' push for digital identity. So again, this is about how to trick people into getting involved with this. In the report, it praises digital ID advancements like digital driver's licenses, digital birth certificates, and digital government documents. So this isn't just about driver's licenses. This is about putting your entire life, the entire system, on a digital system for the digital ID. We know this digital ID is going to be put in and a part of the Mark of the Beast when that comes. Again, Mark of the Beast happens after the rapture, so it's not here yet. But we know that a part of it is going to be the digital ID, the e-wallet, your central bank digital currency. Everything is going to be on that as well. So that's a part of the can't buy or sell without it. The report explains that every step that gets a state closer to 100% participation with digital IDs is important. So who is this group? Are they just an activist group? Are they just one of those little groups that tries to, put recommendations into the government and then the government files it right into the garbage can? Who is the BIC? Who is the Better Identity Coalition? Well, they claim on their website to be a group committed to working alongside policymakers to improve digital security, privacy, and convenience for everyone. What is something that I always say? They're going to kill you with convenience. They want people to get involved with convenience. Every step that we've taken towards a digital age has been in the name of convenience. Even something like your credit card, that was a step in this direction because it's digital money. It's for convenience. Oh, buy what you want now, pay later. It's convenient for you. Things like your Alexa apps and things like CashApps and things, all this stuff is all about convenience. It's about getting it forward. The Palm Pay, we're seeing the Palm Pay stuff now. We're seeing the staffless stores now. Pay with QR code, the Internet of Things technology where you don't even have to go to a register anymore. You just pick what you want off the shelf, put it in your cart, and walk out, and it pays for it on its own. All of this stuff is about convenience. It's all getting us closer to that one world beast system. It's about tricking people into accepting it and what's coming forward. And so they say directly on their website, convenience for everyone. So it's just, again, confirming what we already knew. Now, this entity itself, the BIC entity itself, is made up of over 25 companies. Here we go. Here's the heart of it. So it's not just some random activist group. No, it's actually companies that are involved. 25 companies that include CVS, Discover, MasterCard, ID.me, Equifax, JP Morgan, FaceTech, Microsoft, and Wells Fargo. All of those companies are a part of the Better Identity Coalition, who are pushing forward on how to help governments, state governments, implement digital IDs. There it is. Now, on January 24th and 25th of 2022, the BIC partnered with the FIDO Alliance, which is, if you want to dig into that, that's pretty interesting itself, which is a password key encryption company, so global. They work on like all the major companies' encryption keys for passwords of all their servers and stuff. That's what they do. So the BIC partnered with them and the ID Theft Resource Center to host a virtual forum called Identity Authentication and the Road Ahead. Now this is the people who attended are the people who, this makes a lot of sense. Those in attendance included people from the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, and officials from the TSA, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and the OpenID Foundation. Wow. So people involved, U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, TSA, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc., etc. So this little group that a lot of people may not have heard of is working with some very, very powerful people. And very powerful people are taking them serious. Now, 2018, the BIC was launched and was part of the Center for Cybersecurity Policy and Law nonprofit. So another group that you may not have heard of. And of course, they're nonprofit. They're always nonprofit. On the outside, this nonprofit looks like a research group that hosts virtual forums, writes reports, and consults leadership. But those involved seem to be more hands-on. So here we go again. More of the connecting dots. Who is involved and how are they connected? So a part of this cybersecurity policy and law nonprofit, the coordinator is Ari Schwartz. And he is also Venable LLP's managing director of cybersecurity services and policy, and also help implement the National Institute for Standards and Tech Cybersecurity Framework. If you don't know who that is a group that is connected to the U.S. Department of Commerce. That is a direct connection to the U.S. government. As high up as you can go, this man is helping direct that program. This BIC company, this BIC group is not looking too much like a fringe group anymore. Venable LLP, by the way, is a law firm of advisors who work in business, organizations, and individuals. And just a little background, it was founded in 1900. And the group is built of former regulators, senior government staffers, state attorneys generals, and members of Congress. If you do a search of the representatives who are in Venable LLP, you will find ex-governors, you will find active governors, you will find state attorneys, state attorney generals, some members of Congress, ex-members of Congress. They're all involved with this Venable LLP group. There's people like the governor from Arkansas and stuff like that who are involved with this group. So this is another one of those little elite groups that run everything. They run everything on their own. Another name in the nonprofit is Sam Curry. Now, this is one to pay attention to. He's also involved with the National Security Institute. He's also the Chief Security Officer of Cybereason and President of Cybereason Government Incorporated. Now, Cybereason does antivirus and ransomware protection software, but how he does it, this company is a full defense platform for companies and governments using AI and cloud computing like Amazon Web Services. So again, he works on the security or the cybersecurity stuff for the main corporations out there. This is important because we know from the recent Davos meeting that just took place, there was a call saying that there's going to be a major cyber attack, major cyber warfare that's going to take place in the next 3 years. They called it. They said it's going to happen, that there's going to be a massive cyber attack within the next 3 years. And you're looking at these people who are all involved with cyber security programs, antivirus ransomware programs for the big guys, the big companies, the big corporations, the government itself. You're talking about developers and programmers for these guys. These are the companies that are involved with this. And so they're all connected to the cybersecurity thing. And this is what they just talked about at Davos. This is what they just talked about at the WEF. When they take everything, when they do this type of stuff, they're setting up their own systems. Everybody wants to talk about when we're seeing all these different cyber events where internet's going down here or companies are blacking out here and these things they're getting disturbed here. All the cyber weird stuff that's been happening. What they're doing is they're putting in their own system. They're getting a switch involved with this stuff so they can flip it and get this stuff running. They can get it up and running and going forward. And these are the people that are running it. These people that we just talked about. These are the people that are running it. The BIC leads all the way to law firms built from former high-ranking government officials, national security states, banks, corporations, and the best cybersecurity defense platforms. That's who's involved with the BIC. These digital IDs, central bank digital currencies, and biometric recognition systems are being advertised as a convenience for you. Whenever somebody says it's going to be convenient, whenever somebody says we're doing this in convenience, this is about getting the Antichrist beast system implemented. This is about getting these systems online and in place. So his system, his beast system, is going to be ready to go. And so when the Antichrist steps out onto that stage, all he has to do is flip the switch. That's all he has to do is flip the switch. All of this is about bringing in the beast system. It's about becoming a one world citizen, being connected to the three pillars: one world government, one world economy, and one world religion. By bringing this about and hooking into this, you're basically becoming part of a global citizenship. And this is a real thing. This is a real thing. This is something that the UN has been doing. This is a system that the UN has been slowly implementing into specific, the framework, pretty much. So going back to 2015, a framework for global citizenship education was brought about by UNESCO, UNESCO. That stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. The global citizenship thing is a real thing that was implemented in 2015 when Agenda 21 came into play. Agenda 21, you may not have heard that name in a while. All that is just the original draft for Agenda 2030. That's all that is. So that was back. You have to remember, the UN and the Vatican created Agenda 21 in 2014, and then it was accepted and brought in 2015. And Agenda 21 is now Agenda 2030 now. Agenda 2030 is just a much bigger system. Agenda 21 was the framework, and global citizenship was a part of it. It's an arm of the UNESCO, is an arm of the UN that is helping usher in the global citizenship that is founded, again, in the framework of Agenda 21 from 2015. It's Agenda 2030. UNESCO focuses on social justice and climate side of the Sustainable Development Goals. So all your social justice stuff, all your woke stuff, everything that you're seeing with the entertainment industry, everything that you're seeing with the music industry, everything that you're seeing with all the riots that have been happening, the uprising of all of this, the woke, BLM, everything like that. The UNESCO has been a part of that. And it's literally about, you might be shaking your head like how, but it's about intersectional creation and putting in the social justice global citizenship project. So this is, again, all of this stuff that we just talked about. And I know there's a lot of information, a lot of names, a lot of who are you even talking about? I understand that. But all of those people are all people that we may never have heard of before, but they're the ones that are guiding everything to the framework of global citizenship that is founded in the UN Agenda 21, Agenda 23, or 2030 now. But all of that stems from and is created from everything that we know in prophecy to be the Antichrist beast system. It's almost like they read the Bible, they read prophecy and said, let's do that. But they chose the wrong side. They chose the losing side because we know Jesus wins in the end. But that's basically like what they did is they decided we're going to do exactly what prophecy said is going to happen. And they started building everything off of that. They just opened up Revelation. They just opened up Ezekiel. They just opened up Daniel. They just opened up Isaiah. They just opened up Matthew. Said, oh, let's do this. Let's do this. And so it's been building and progressing the whole time and that whole way. And it's coming quick. It's coming quick. It's coming very quick, guys. And if you're looking at this stuff and you manage to make it through, and I didn't bore you to death with all the random names and stuff like that, and you're maybe had a question answered, or you got some insight on some stuff that you didn't know, and now you're starting to see that prophecy is coming alive, and the Antichrist beast system is coming into play, and it's being built. If that's you, the whole reason why we do this is to point you to the Lord, to Jesus. The only way that you can get saved from this impending chaos, this it's going to be hell on earth. There's words, doesn't matter what language you speak, there's no words to describe the horrific hell that's going to be unleashed on this earth. And the only way to get out of that, the only way to avoid that is through Jesus Christ. So if you're watching this and you don't know the Lord, the reason why we do this is to get people to Jesus and Jesus to people. And it's a very simple gift. It's an easy gift. Simple as ABC. You don't have to do anything. By the most amazing grace and mercy and love, he extends the greatest sacrifice, the greatest gift ever for people who just want to accept it. It's easy as ABC. A is admit. You admit that you're a sinner. In order to believe in a Savior, you have to first admit that you need a Savior. And for that to happen, you got to admit that you're a sinner and that you've done wrong according to God. So A, you admit that you're a sinner. B, you believe in Jesus Christ. You believe he is who he says he is, and he did what he said he did. You believe that he's the one and only Son of God who came and died on the cross and rose again on the third day so that we may live. And then C is you call upon the Lord. Say his name. This is as simple as when you pray a prayer, you're calling on Jesus to come into your heart. You're asking for him to come into your heart. Come into your life, come into your heart. And that's it. That's simple. Your life will be changed as long as you truly believe your life will be changed. And everything that we're seeing now, the world is not going to get better. Don't fall into the modern church teaching of we're here to make this world better and we can bring the kingdom of Jesus down. Don't fall into that. That is a lie. That is a heresy that is built specifically to teach a false Jesus that will send you to hell. Follow the true Jesus of the Bible, and all of this is laid out. The world is going to get worse. It's going to get worse, but the worse the world gets, the closer we are to going home. Amen? Don't fall into that trap. Get to the one true Jesus. He is the only way to get you through. He is the only way. So, all right, guys. That's about everything that I got. I got nothing else going on. Let's see here. I think we got a couple of questions. Okay, here we go. This is a little new here. Got a couple of questions. Let's see. One from Lori. When did we really become aware of what the WEF was up to? That's a good question. You want to go back decades. You were hearing things about George Soros and the Illuminati and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all these people, all the names and stuff. Those have all been deemed as conspiracy theories and all that stuff. As far as the WEF itself, I don't know. Me personally, I became aware of the WEF, I want to say, probably about 2017, which is actually fairly recently, but that's probably about the first time I started hearing about them. But as far as when did we hear them, I don't know. KW said, Wretched, if you keep this stuff up, you'll have to color your beard. It's not really a question, but more of a comment. But yeah, I'm already losing my hair, so I'll probably have to color my beard. Oh, wow, that's true. So. Okay, that's about all I got there. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. Glad you guys could be here. If you can, usual spiel, like, share, and subscribe. Get this out to people. Again, it's not about butts and seats. This is about warning people and getting people to Jesus and Jesus to people. I'm going to continue to steal that from JD. But yeah, so if you can, like, share, subscribe. Get this out to as many people as you can. Tell your friends, your family, your milkman, your dog. I think we need more dogs in the chat, just saying. But yeah, so if you can't get this out there, make sure you follow me on Rumble, Odyssey, and Telegram. Good stuff on there, backup channels, and exclusive stuff on there. Remember, tomorrow at noon, got a special bobblehead that I'll be releasing. Next Tuesday, Pastor Tom Hughes, Mr. Tom Hughes is going to be joining me. That should be fun. Going to have a fun time with that. And then also, if the Lord leads you to, if he places it on your heart, I do have donation links down below, CashApp, Venmo, and Give, Send, Go. Only if the Lord places it on your heart to support this ministry. I truly appreciate it, probably more than you know. I'm a little gushy on my thank yous, so I apologize for that, but I always appreciate it. So those are available down below as well if you are led to do so. And that's it. That's all I got, guys. So I think I'm going to leave you guys here. And if the Lord has not come back by next Tuesday, which I pray that he does, but if not, same time, same place, we'll be doing what we do. All right, guys, peace out and Maranatha.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.